I thought this is the right time to read the chapter on inner space.
So this is a subsection of the chapter on inner space called The First Glimpse. I was able to spend only a few weeks with my father at his hermitage at Nagigampa. Near the end of my stay, though, he gave me a lesson in experiencing space. I'll never forget that first lesson. I was sitting in my father's private room, a small wood-paneled space with a bed, an altar, and enough room for maybe 5 or 6 people to sit. Half of the room was taken up by windows, through which the setting sun shone in golden red light. He said, "Look at the area around you with all your senses open, seeing all the objects, feeling all the sensations. Don't block anything. Can you sense that openness, that simple awareness of the things you see and hear and feel?" I nodded. With the sun setting through the windows overlooking a broad valley, the sheer physical warmth of my father's body, his sweet but penetrating gaze, the feeling of the hardwood floor beneath me, it would have been hard not to be aware of the multitude of phenomena. And his gentle advice to experience this awareness openly, without judgment, was a powerful influence. There was something almost magical about the way he could communicate without words or gesture, the possibility of appreciating without judgment all the things I saw, heard, and felt. Then he said, "Now turn that same awareness to the mind that perceives these things openly. Instead of looking at outer space, look at inner space." He demonstrated with his hands, turning his palms outward to demonstrate the way we ordinarily perceive by looking outward, and then turning his palms inward to indicate the mind that perceives. Then he let his hands drop into his lap to demonstrate just letting the whole effort of looking drop, to allow whatever happened to happen or not. In that moment, due largely to the certainty and understanding he'd cultivated over years of practice, I caught a glimpse of inner space, which is wide open and clear, completely beyond concepts or judgments, in which or through which the entire realm of phenomena appear and disappear. For a brief second or so, I had a direct experience of what in the Buddhist tradition is known as the essence of mind, or the nature of mind. A luminous, limitless awareness that is not chopped up into subject and object, self and other, perceiver and perceived. All distinctions between the looker and what was being looked at fell away, and for an instant I experienced a complete lack of separation between everything I felt, saw, smelled, and so on, and the awareness that saw, smelled, felt. At that moment, even the effort involved in being mindful of something dissolved, and mindfulness became effortless. The clarity, openness, and warmth simply was. It was, as some classic Buddhist texts describe, like waking up in the middle of a dream while still dreaming. I suddenly, unquestionably knew that what I was experiencing was occurring within my own awareness, but it was an experience free from mental, emotional, or physical labels. I had a sensation of immeasurable freedom and possibility, inseparable from the potential to be aware of anything that emerged from that pregnant possibility. It wasn't necessarily an extraordinary mystical experience, but more like a deep sense of relaxation, like settling into a comfortable chair at the end of a long day. This recognition of the inseparability of awareness from its experience, the awakening in the midst of a dream, was a Buddha's gift to humanity and my father's gift to me.
Thank you.
What you just heard from Rinpoche's book, and what I didn't say is, there is a depth that is made accessible, unlike almost any book I've read, in terms of understanding Dharma. And Rinpoche, what I wanted to maybe ask you if you would
Sure.
talk more about is, when you go right to that essence love, and that's, the book is pointing towards our capacity, how does that relate to our Buddha nature? And how does it get covered over?
So essence love is part of the spark I mentioned in the book. The spark is very close to the Buddha nature, which is open, clear, and love. But that kind of love is not giving and taking, it's just experiencing. And this love is really missing in this country because of the external conditions. One of the reasons is that cognitive-based intellectual education is pushing so hard, and with hope and fear, installed it into the emotion and disconnected the covered this child open love or essence love. So one time I was flying from New York to San Francisco. It takes about almost 5 hours. And at the back of my seat, there's I think 12, 13 years young daughter of this father. And father is about 40 years, about my age. I'm 45, by the way. So they've been talking quite a serious matter. And some point the child cried. And she says, "Daddy, I'm sorry, I know that, I'm sorry." But he's not accepting that. He's keep talking and debating with her and challenging her cognitive understanding of what she did wrong, I don't know what. And she keeps saying sorry, and he keeps challenging that it's your responsible. That means you are not responsible kind of person, so you make that mistake, is wrong. But I hope his attention was good. But he trying to teach the cognitive understanding that kind of child, the age of that kind of child, can understand the cognitive, the mind thing, but the emotional cannot understand. It's still a child, need to grow with the environment of spontaneous, open environment. But he was so harsh on her, and I felt very sad that, I think he's not aware of emotional development. I think he's putting all his energy to his daughter to cognitive-based intellectual education and forgotten the basic warmth of humor, which is connected with the essence love. So now I'm wondering that how she grew up. I'm sure she could be very talented at work. She knows all the boxes that we created in order to function external world. Every level layers, I think she know. I think she is quite okay at work. I hope so. But I don't think so she's a happy girl. When she come home or when you have nothing to do, and I think the emotional world screwed up. I hope not. But I felt that if she is keep doing like that, she can be a very good job-oriented kind of person. But the basic, when it comes to the home, the emotional, the restless, stress, fear, so many layers and block this essence love. So I for some time I thought about that. Every time I go to the airplane, I thought, thinking about her. Because I have two daughters also. One is 20 years old, she's quite okay. One is 9 years old, 11 years old. She's still growing. So I can see how the human external influence will block the well-being of the essence of love.
So you might have been just talking about a lot of us here. I mean, I'm just thinking there's so many of us that our parents in some way didn't mean to, but did that kind of treatment, and so we have those layers. And can you maybe speak a bit about, you build the book around the foundations of mindfulness, how mindfulness helps to dissolve some of those layers?
Yeah. I think the best example is my own example, that about 19 years ago, I was in Malaysia. There's a tall twin tower. In order to go to other building, you have to cross a glass bridge, very high in the top, but you can see through people down there, tiny people moving. Time to time, of course, there's some iron who protect, but mostly you can see through it. So many people walking on that, and I just, without thinking, without just walk with my friend Lama. So I walk. After 5 steps, something happened in my body. Like, if you walk one more step, you're going to fall down. You're going to die. So I get message from my feeling. So I came back. Then I checked. I used my mind. Cognitive base, intellectual mind, I used and checked, analyzed. Everything is fine. And some Chinese are very big size and quite fat. So they're also walking. Why not me? I'm a short and thin at that time. So if I walk, no problem. So I analyze this way, that way, all around, and think, wow, this is, like a modern country, and they will not build like that. This is a national treasure. So I'm sure it was very solid. So then I thought, okay, now I can go. So I walk. What do you think? I could cross or I could not cross? Sound like no cross, no? I think I cross or no cross? No? Yes, why not? It's so safe. And many people taking pictures there. Lovers hugging and kissing, 2 people staying at the same spot. It did not fall down. So why not? And my friend, Lama Tashi, he went there and he come back. He said, Rinpoche, come. I came already, nothing happened. And he looked at me and like, what happened with you? Are you joking? Real? No, I'm not joking. I was in serious attack. But he could not understand. Misunderstand. So what do you think? Second time I cross? No, yeah? So, make it short because of time. So I walk and the second time I was, okay, now no problem because it's very safe. So, okay, I walk, zoom, zoom, zoom. Almost same place. Again attack happened. So then I come back, then I knew. So I use my mindfulness and insight that, okay, now it's not external only, because it's internal something happening. So I sit a little bit, analyze, mindful of my feeling, go back to my childhood, go back to my past life. No, joking. I don't have that mindfulness. So I have a vague memory of my childhood, but not a past life. But anyhow, I scan everything inside of me. What happened? Where is this feeling? So I realized that is the feeling, and that kind of scary feeling is in my subtle body, not in my mind. First time could be a misunderstanding. But second time, full conviction that I knew that bridge is safe, but I still cannot walk. So the conflict starts between mind and feeling. Mind says, come on, you could go. Feeling says, no, if I go, I'm going to die. Well, I should listen mind or feeling? Tell me. Huh? I should listen feeling, no? So feeling is close to me. Mind, I don't know where is it, but feeling, I can feel it. So if I listen my feeling, there's few choices. I could go down, take 10 minutes, walk another 10 minutes, 25 minutes take to see other building. That's one choice. Second choice, I'll ask my friend Lama to carry me. That's another choice. Another choice is close my eyes and just what happened and then go. Maybe fell down or no matter what. So there's another choice. Another choice is force myself. That, force to feeling, you are stupid. You're no good, Many people going, who are you? You are, so give suppress and saying like, and go. Or never visit the other building in your life. So what are the choice? So, how many different type of layers we have? This is extreme example. If we don't recognize, if we listen the first thought, maybe good, but then you reify that kind of feeling is really solid in me, and I comes in, and the reifier I start to hold on, and the mere I means here, like I am going, I am eating, today is like that, yesterday. That kind of healthy mere I is very important. And Buddhists are not denying that. We are nurturing that mere healthy I as our reference point. But this mere I start to become frozen I, which is reified I. And any thoughts and emotion comes, we associate with that as me, and clink, like a water become ice, and frozen whole being. So this is called second eye. So I saw my second eye, reify I very solid, that I believe that emotion or that, the pattern, the scary pattern is me. So now it's third time. So I stayed there. Then I realized when I was young, as a boy, happy boy, did not develop cognitive, mind, but child's heart. So you walk, you jump, you climb the tree and fell down many times, whole branch fell down, didn't think the branch is solid or not, just hold the branch, boom. So I had that kind of habitual pattern, stays in my feeling, in the body, not in the mind. Mind knows the feeling. I believe mind does not have a feeling. Mind aware of the feeling, my understood feeling, my recognize the feeling, but the feeling is connected with the body. Which kind of body is a subtle body, energy body. So in the energy body, I have that old leftover residue memory is still there. And when I walk on the bridge, that old residue affected and come. When that come in, and I associate that is the reality. So mindfulness and insight, I saw that, okay, this is the residue, not real thing. First, you need a mindfulness to know this, your feeling. Second, the insight that oh yeah, that is not the real thing, but you are affected by residue. So that is the insight. So with insight and mindfulness need to go together. Then through mindfulness, the wisdom dawn. The wisdom is that I realize there's a discriminating wisdom, discriminating insight that I saw I don't need to be that much afraid because the reality is safe, but I have to acknowledge my old residue as a real thing, as a real thing. So I start to develop communication between thinking and the feeling. Because at that time, feeling is more smart than feeling. Not necessarily always like that, but at that occasion. So I keep sending text message to my feeling with an attached file written like this. It is real, but not true. 100 times. It is real, but not true. It is real means it is real. The feeling is real. I'm not joking. I think my friend think I'm joking, but for me it's a real. But this real feeling is not based on true 100%. But that habitual pattern that habitual pattern must have the right to understand. The right understanding is not true. If you don't dare to talk to that pattern, the pattern never learn. But if you immediately neglect, and if you don't be kind to your pattern, which is suffering, obviously, so you hold with the love and compassion, kindness to the pattern, accept, yes, you're feeling. That opens the heart. And right message is not true, the open, the not misunderstanding in the feeling start to open up. So keep talking to myself for a while. And then some point I felt that I think now I can walk, but I'm not sure. Now I'm talking about my feeling. So I said, let's try. So I didn't give up my kindness and also insight. So I start to walk. Third time. Little bit touch on the glass first and holding on the, what do you call it? Huh?
Handrail or banister.
Handrail, yeah. But at that time, I had a good muscle. I'm doing a little bit push-up. I don't have a six-pack, but I have some good muscle. So I told to my feeling pattern, don't worry, my arm is strong. I have some muscle, so we go through, okay? In case we fell down, I can hold it. I'm not talking to my mind, I'm talking to my feeling. So this is the feeling problem. Feeling need to understand. So looks stupid, but it's quite intelligent, I think. Sorry. So I hold and step with the kindness and right information. One, hold, little bit, and slowly my gross body also got some confidence. And that, from the external confidence, the inside, which I'm texting to the subtle body, they sort of match. Then slowly, and then I cross in the middle. Then I let it go. And I walk, and I go cross. When I cross, I come back again one more time. And I cross one more time. So can be done through mindfulness, through insight and kindness. And we are not identified ourselves as that event, whatever you're facing. But first, mindfulness, you need to know what kind of schemas or habitual patterns are influencing in your life. I'm sure there's many things shaping our life. As a psychologist always pointed out us. But if you need to change yourself without therapy, sorry, I respect therapy very much. Most of my 75% of my students are therapists. So. But anyhow, so if you want to change yourself, the only way is through mindfulness to see the hidden habitual pattern is shaping your life. But when you saw that, you must love, care, and the right insight to that, and talk to your ego, not to reify it. If that dialogue happened properly through mindfulness insight, I think many things can change. And in my life, many of these habitual patterns change. One time I almost died by airplane. Many years took, scare. But through this practice, now I love to fly. So many things can change. But willing and aware, mindfulness, right insight, message, and constant effort. Thank you.
I just want to say that when I was reading through, and if you looked at my book, it's got so many pages marked, the piece about real but not true is an amazing takeaway, and I could feel it in the room. And so one of the things I'm wondering is, we all have patterns that keep us from being free, where we're identified, and they're historical, and are they all in our subtle body? And can you say a little more about what you mean?
I think many patterns, both in the subtle body and misunderstanding pattern in the mind. Both mind and the subtle body. Sometimes because of the subtle body patterns and drive our mind to think wrong way, and that thinking accumulate over the time, and we have a wrong thinking pattern. Or thinking wrong, and slowly it leaves footprint in the subtle body, and eventually subtle body also have a habitual pattern. But I want to make sure that all the patterns are not bad. So constructive pattern and destructive pattern. And I believe 95% of what our knowledge is based on pattern. How do you know that fire is hot? It comes through body. Many of our knowledge is coming from body. You touch the fire and it burns, and next time, okay, fire is hot. But the problem is some patterns are overreacted and it become wounded. And that woundedness is giving us problem. I call wounded love a wounded heart. Why? Because of disconnect with the essence love. Because of reifying everything so solid. Do you have a tissue? Anyone have a tissue?
Anybody have a tissue?
Okay,
right
I
here?
think this fine. Okay, just one. Not that. Oh, it's too small. So, between mere eye and reify eye, we lost the balance. Balance of loose and tight, and we don't know where is the right balance. The right balance for this tissue, how much do you need to hold on? How much tight do you need? Is this the right balance? Yeah? Is the right balance? Or this is the right balance? So if you hold like this, then you like a Nepali. Nepali, Indian Nepali, they hold. They hardly don't hold. But they're happy. We hold here very tight, but sometimes could be hollow. Okay? So this balance I see is very important. And now, why we're holding this too tight? Because of our environment. From childhood, you give love, you express your love for your child. We think we're expressing with regardless what we will, is our child. But in fact, the action is not really happening that way, without knowing or unknowing. So you give love based on condition. The child come home with good grade and teacher's, pleasing letter, and you hug is much different than normal. And your movement, your smile is different than normal. And child did something little bit wrong, and your hug is like, or facial expression, tone of voice is different. But they might not know here, but they picked up in the emotional. So they thought, they feel the love is conditioned. And because of more and more, the basic unconditional without object love is decreasing, covering. So instead of that, we put a fear, because fear is most effective method to drive our mind speedy and to obtain something, to become something. So, honey, if you don't do well in school, you might end up at homeless shelter. No, joking. But, serious. I think life is serious. Yeah. Education is serious. Work, of course, more serious. But in fact, this is the serious. This is extra. So you hold everything serious, no humor, and then end of somewhere before mirror age crisis happened, joking. So you become like this, still holding, and still we think we are not enough to hold. And then whole arm is pain. So from the subtle body, the reaction is coming to the gross body. Neck pain, leg pain, eyes burning, headache, chronic disease. So all happening because of too serious about our life. The openness, the child heart is completely closed. The innermost spiritual is connected with the love is diminishing. Driving fast, getting something, and we expect all the happiness is coming from outside. But it might happen for a while, but at the end, you have to feel your feeling. The feeling is hollow. Hollow. I like hum. It's better than hollow. I don't want to say. Hum is so beautiful. The British language. Some is terrible. Some is so beautiful. The hum is really resonant. It's like a nectar. So you hold like that. So life become like this, too serious. So I always think, mind develop all the way is no problem. But if we don't take care that development, and we subtly sneak the fear in order to drive that kind of lifestyle, gives a lot of subtle fear in the emotion. And that is the covering. And what you become lonely in deep down, wanting to feel happy, but cannot. And consuming so many things, still not. I have a story. You want to hear? It's okay?
Yeah.
So we have time, okay?
Yeah.
One time I was in New Delhi, a little bit bad mood because of weather or all so many things. Indians, they always say, yes, no problem, but it's a problem. I will do it, that means I'm not going to do it. It's a very difficult life there sometimes. So I was staying in 5-star hotel, but by the way, if you want to go to India, please stay in 5-star hotel. Either you stay cheapest hotel or 5-star hotel. Because cheapest hotel is also no good, 3-star hotel is also no good. So why not you save some money? So I was in a little bad mood, so just zipping through the channel. Suddenly I saw some light there. Wow, there's a one handsome man. Really, very nice, very amazing, like a God child, so like God's son, sort of very handsome, beautiful, laughing, charisma, eyes big, but very. And the most amazed was for me is he had a six-pack. That under the shirt I can see 4 packs, but I assume there's 2 more packs down there. And he's walking, and he's holding one beautiful, astonishing, lady holding, and she's so happy also. And her hairstyle is going like this, and a long neck and big mouth like Julia Roberts. Very beautiful. So, wow, so happy. It contrasts me. Like I'm not that happy. Why they are so happy? So finally, I realized they're holding the computer called Sony Vaio. Then I, because of that, they're happy. Then immediately my thought, no. This is advertisement. And I knew the film industry a little bit, I involved a little bit. One flick, it changed 10, 15 times. So I'm sure they choose the right person and trained person to express happiness. So, this is, no. Then ad is already gone somehow. I know it's not true, it's advertisement, yeah? And then I went to Singapore. It shows again. Caught me a little bit, but okay, I know. And then I went to Paris. In the middle of the road, also shows side. Wow. Okay, advertisement. Then I came to New York. I bought it. I bought the computer. Last at New York.
And now you're happy, right?
So it distracted me about 1 week. It fulfilled my gap, to fill the gap of the hollowness down there. I was figuring out this and so, I have, sometimes I remember that I might have a six-pack, and I look down, no. So I have in that mood. So, but funny thing is when they advertised that at the TV, they did not advertise that this kind of computer, if you take into high plateau like Tibet, it will crash. They didn't advertise there. They did not advertise also when you hold on the screen, it will leave a lot of fingerprint. They did not advertise. And you take different countries, there's a different plaque. They did not advertise. So then, it distracted me for a while, but then, I come back into my original state. So I took this computer to Tibet, it crashed. Don't worry. So, when you follow this, and this is advertisement, but somehow beauty of their advertising skill that, connect your hollowness through emotion, at the end, you have to have it. Then it will help for a while, but same state. So that is called the third eye, which means needy eye. Because you don't feel right there, something is missing, but you don't know what. You ask your mind, what is missing? No idea. Because mind analyze, I'm a best country in the world in America. Really, our country is best so far. I've traveled all over the world, and you are country has, voice of everyone, more or less, no, of course. But you have a suing system. You sue each other. We sue each other. I think it's good. I think people who sued is not so good, but in general the system is good. That it shows, equality, same voice. I think, I'm not a politician, but I like that. Balance, power. So many things is good. Lifestyle is here, fantastic. People are very good, very warm. And, best technology. But you thought, okay, I have all these things. But then then slowly, the necking down there, because of the fear, is disconnected with the essence, love, then you hollow feeling comes in. That is very strong. I see this as the 21st century's disease. If we don't take care of our feeling, too much taking care of our thinking, education, and because of that, we keep a lot of fear, hope, stress, speed, and all this gives a lot of stuff in the body, and that blocks the well-being. So my wish is now we reconnect our child heart, but not child mind, please. With the grown-up mind and child heart could be a very beautiful life, I think. Feeling need to stay in the childhood. No, child heart. But the mind, grown up, and that need to be good relationship, good connection. And then I think with a lot of skills, warm, essence love, happy love, life can happen, I think. I've been teaching about 20 years, so I like to know the other cultures, why, how, where is good, So I think the root is that disconnected or covered. The flame is still there, but it's covered by many layers. And these layers are held by reified I or identified by me with a serious tightness. And if we don't lose that, I think sooner or later you suffer inside. But looks outside shining nice. Why not we change that? Why not we change our education system a little bit? Why not we change parenting a little different way? Why not we care for that as a world peace? If everybody, of course, many years ago, I never heard about internet. So now it's in my iPad. Things can change if we ship something. So why not, after 10 years, all the child has warm okayness in the feeling, but use maximum thinking. I have a great hope for that. One of the motivation behind this book is to reconnect this essence love and come out. When you have this essence love, then the wounded love or love with subject and object and a lot of blockage, from the feeling you will heal, not necessarily only thinking. Because thinking is already too much with speed and fear. Yeah. So then small things, now computer is not making me happy. I want to buy some big things. Or small things, and I want some recognition, world recognition. I want to be a good, famous teacher, and I like to identify with that. Or I smile, your smile is so beautiful. And one says, your smile is good. Other one says, you're smiling so good. We like to see you're smiling smile. So, oh, I think I'm a good smiler. I am a good smiler, in fact. And then finally, I found myself now because I am a great smiler. So I would like to hold that as my identity, secretly talking. Yeah? And that is called social I. I number 4.
The social I. One of the ways we look for fulfillment or confirmation is in the eyes of other people. We look to other people for confirmation of who we are, who we would like to be, or what we believe about ourselves. This is a layer I refer to as the social I, that aspect or layer of self we develop when dealing with other people. Unlike the other layers of self, the social I is not a part of the traditional Buddhist model of I or ego layers. My understanding is grounded in my own experience, as well as in the conversations with Western psychologists, and it's taken me a number of years to identify and describe it. My confrontation with the social I began after I arrived at Tashijong Monastery to begin my training. In order to understand the type of training a tulku, and here the word tulku means the previous incarnation of the Lama. I ask you to imagine the very best and the very worst of what might be referred to in some countries as a private school system, and in others as the public school system. You're given the opportunity to study with great teachers. In addition to spelling, grammar, vocabulary, history, astronomy, and calligraphy, you're offered a rigorous course in the philosophical foundations of Buddhism, studying the words not only of the Buddha, but of all the great Indian and Tibetan masters who followed him. You learn not only the value of empathy, tolerance, patience, and generosity, but also the practical methods for cultivating such qualities. You learn a wide range of meditation techniques and the rituals associated with the Tibetan form of Buddhism. Most of the early years of tulku training, however, involve rote memorization of texts and ritual movements, so that the tulku can complete a teaching or a ceremony when the electricity goes out and everyone is plunged into darkness, not an uncommon occurrence in places like India and Nepal. You memorize a certain number of pages, maybe 200 a year, and then you're tested on how well you've memorized those pages. You're given 3 chances to pass the test. If you fail the 3rd test, it's back to the books. At the same time, you're indoctrinated into the sense that it's your duty not only to master the philosophies and practices, but also to preserve a culture on the brink of extinction. The wisdom of men and women accumulated over more than 2,000 years will be lost if you don't pay strict attention. If you don't sit, stand, speak, and wear your uniform, the red and yellow robes of a Tibetan Buddhist monastic, perfectly, you're a failure in terms of this noble tradition. You're a failure to your teachers, to your families, and to an infinite number of beings residing in an infinite number of universes who are depending on you to carry out your traditional role, a rather heavy responsibility to be placed on the shoulders of a 12-year-old boy. I'd arrived at Tashijong later than most of the other tulkus, who had begun their training at the age of 8 or 9, so I felt hard-pressed to make up for lost time. I suppose, like many children, I wanted to please my teachers, so I applied myself vigorously to my studies and tried my very best to emulate the behavior of my pre-incarnation. If I pleased my teachers, they were happy, and when they were happy, I was happy. I liked it they were pleased with my discipline, that they would point me out to others as a model, saying, "Look at Soni Rinpoche, what a good tulku he is, follow his example." Pleasing my teachers became a sort of addiction, a susceptibility to the conditional sort of love described earlier. Yet from time to time, I felt a nagging discontent, a sense that I wasn't the reincarnation of some old man, and that in pleasing my teachers by acting like one, I was, in a sense, suppressing the basic openness and warmth of my childhood self, the boy who liked to play, to talk, to laugh, to joke, to move around, to jump across rivers, and sometimes land in the water. I was very gradually losing the connection to the deep sense of spontaneity, warmth, and playfulness I'd felt for most of my young life. The praise felt good, but not the behavior that generated the praise. A part of me knew I was pretending, and yet I kept on pretending because I liked the praise. After a year or so, however, even the praise lost its luster. I knew that I was pretending, behaving in a way that wasn't consistent with how I really felt deep down. I started to feel as if I were living two lives at the same time, the well-behaved, industrious tulku and the adolescent boy who didn't like sitting as still as a statue, who would joke around, wander through the village, make friends with children my own age. Outwardly, I was a model of discipline. Inside, my mind was flitting about, and my body was raging with adolescent hormones. That's the trap of the social I. It's almost set up for conflict because what we're feeling inside may not be what we're trained to project outside. If I behaved exactly like a tulku ought to behave, there was no problem. But I couldn't follow the tulku rules all the time. It wasn't in my nature. I was a social, playful boy. I liked talking to girls, making jokes, relaxing, not being so formal all the time. Consequently, I developed a bit of resentment and then felt guilty about the resentment. But the anxiety to please, the resentment I felt, and the guilt about the resentment were all wrapped together. And as I grew older, I began to ask, why?
So the point here is we need social I, but we have to know between social I and mere I how to dance between social I and mere I, how to play between social I and mere I. The social I is the mere I is your home, and social I is part of you. The best example is His Holiness Dalai Lama. He used his social I maximum, and in order to benefit other sentient beings. If we can do that, that's the best way. Because your work, your skill is in the social I, not in the mere I. The social I is making money, not the mere I. The mere I gives the comfortable home. So the point is, if we can use social I as a compassionate activity, and basically who you are, rest in the mere I, connect with the essence love, and stay cognitively in the space. With that as a platform, and then you can dance, or sometimes I call you can be a compassionate actor that acts through the social I without disconnect mere I. Because I saw many beings. Sorry, one sentence. I saw many beings that either they love it or tied up, kill yourself because of social I, or you completely reject the social I and said, blame the world is terrible, I'm going to go into the mountain, and this is the spiritual world that I really hate, and you cut off the social I think is not right. So best is live with the social I. When you come back home, you be with the mere I, you come back home, be with the mere I. And then if you see the meaningful and change the compassionate activity from the social I, there could be a very good lifestyle. And you can always hear that His Holiness Dalai Lama says, I'm a simple Buddhist monk. In his dream, he dreamed simple Buddhist monk, not as a social I connected with Dalai Lama. But he used his social I maximum in the compassionate way. Why don't we can do that also? And we don't need to run away from our world. And we can make the world in the better shape. Not giving our wounded into the world. So this is my hope. You
I
want to
have
say?
one question,
Okay.
just to say a little more. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the term mere I, but because it's so beautiful what you're describing about having that be home, could you just leave us with a little more of a sense of what that means to come home to
Mere
mere
I here means I am going to live soon. So there's an I there. I am going to live soon. So like, very tight, me and you, like frozen, that is the reified I. So there's a humor there. It's a merely there. It's nothing is you there solidly anyhow. So why not? You be with that kind of reality. Nothing is solid. Everything is moving in fluidity. So why you hold on that as a solid identity, me as a very serious? And that gives the whole tuning of samsara into the tightness. So basically, I am here. If you ask me, are you Tsongyi Rinpoche? I say yes. Are you really Tsongyi Rinpoche? I even don't know myself. I don't think so there's a real Tsongyi Rinpoche. But I believe this is me. This is mere designated name together with this 5 scanter form, and I call it me. But what kind of me is merely me? And that merely has a, what do you call, kind and soft, open humor, which is, I think everything could be like that. I don't think so. You look, this glass is very solid, but if this glass become more solid than glass, I don't think so. It cannot be glass. This glass more loose than this glass, I think it cannot be a glass. We look solid. Rock is solid, but I don't think so. It's so solid. If rock need to be more solid than rock solid, I don't think so. The rock will not rock. So we lost this, the mere, mere designated, soft, kind, as I. This is I. But this I is experiencing the essence of love. This mind resting in the open. So that 3 things is your home. Our home. And we must come back to that home. And I think we are missing that home because no one is advertising in the TV except Tara. No one, because it's not making money. If you want to make more money, you have to scare more, make more hollow inside. Then you consume more. But they don't care for our well-being because this is not a product. If this is a product, I think this is number 1 seller. But it's a state of mind and experiencing. I'm not complaining the external, comfort. I like, but I like to stay in the middle way. When I come to America, I stay in a hotel, 3-star hotel. And the right location is important. If I go to India, 5-star is important. So, thank you. Thank you inviting me here.
for coming.
And I know your work is really affecting thousands of people online. and give more awareness, really. Give more awareness, give more value here. The life is not only a consuming. Consuming is part of the life, of course. We have better medication. We have a heat. We have a air condition. Everyone has an iPhone, iPad. Not everyone, most of. Okay, sorry. And I think life is the gross bodies. Life is much better than before. But we put so much effort on that and make ourselves stress, fear, and hollow. And that will bounce back one day. I think more and more divorce is happening, more and more